Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Alright, pack 1 pick 1, we opened the Campaign plus Thought Erasure pack alongside Harpooner and then Dawn of Hope or rare. And Dawn of Hope's one of those interesting cards that's very good if the game drags out, pretty useless in the early game. It's definitely one of those weird rares that either is amazing or just doesn't do anything. Campaign's kind of the safer pick in a way, since you know what you're into if you take Campaign, you're just trying to build a controlling Dimir deck. If we're trying to have fun, we probably take the Dawn of Hope. If we're trying to win the draft, we're probably taking Disinformation Campaign. Do we want to have some fun or do we want to win? I mean, drawing cards is fun too, don't get me wrong, but alright, let's take a Dawn of Hope. Pretty interesting pack. Research I don't rate particularly highly. Best card in this pack might be the Patrol. World Soul Colossus isn't bad. Whisper Agent is pretty nice too. Had we taken Disinformation Campaign, we would take Whisper Agent. We took Dawn of Hope, so we're looking at Parhelion Patrol. We're looking maybe at World Soul Colossus. Probably just Patrol, keep us more flexible, can still be both Boros or Selesnya. And alright, pretty interesting pack here too. Had we taken Campaign into Whisper Agent, now we would probably take the Sinister Sabotage as another nice Surveil card for the Dimir deck. Given that we went Dawn of Hope Parhelion Patrol, we could take Healer's Hawk as just a nice early creature. Synergizes nicely with Dawn of Hope since we can pay to draw a card if it hits, and also just keeps us in white. Not the biggest fan of Flight of Equinaughts in general, so seems like a pretty straightforward pick. Alright, the second Golgari Findbroker in a row. That's also pretty strong. If we were still Dimir, we would have been debating between Dimir Guildgate, maybe Sever Strands, Vapors. With our start, we could look at Siegeworm for a potential Selesnya deck. I guess there's Loxodon Restorer, which has a bit of synergy with Dawn of Hope. Although if you're playing Restorer, it's unlikely that you have 2 mana left over to draw a card with Dawn of Hope. And as a 6 mana 3/4 Convoke Gainforge, not the best. But usually you prefer Siegeworm if you're Selesnya. Of course, we could still just take like a Hammer Dropper for the Boros deck. But even in the Boros deck, Hammer Dropper's nothing special, so I think I'm into Siegeworm here. Alright, well, the Dimir deck would have been shaping up pretty nicely here with the House Guildmage as well. Given that we went with Dawn of Hope, we're not seeing any good green cards left. Rampaging Monument can be fine. Don't have any multicolor cards yet, but we might end up with a number of them. Also not really seeing any spectacular Boros cards, like Rubbable Boar is fine, but nothing really worth switching for. So let's take a Monument. So if we were still on the Dimir track, we would look at Informant and Guildgate. Given that we're on the life gain track here, Shieldmaid looks reasonable. Just a good 2-drop that helps us with Convoke. Nothing else really. Yeah, I think we might have taken the wrong path, but we kind of knew that from the start. We're trying something different here. Plenty of 7-win drafts on the YouTube channel with Dimir. Selesnya and Guildgate, Shieldmates are both decent. I'm not the biggest fan of Joint Shields, like pretty awkward to keep up. It's between the Guildgate and the Shieldmate. Shieldmate's not bad here, like we need some 2-drops, helps us with Convoke, early board presence, can block against the Boros aggro decks. So we'll take a Shieldmate over the Guildgate, even though Guildgate we would also appreciate. And nothing spectacular here. Things would have dried up for the Dimir deck a little bit. Necrolisk is not amazing in Dimir. Righteous Blow can give us a bit of cheap interaction. Don't think we need to take Disregard too highly after taking double Shieldmate. Could take a Golgari Guildgate for the splash. Could take a Locket, since we're kind of building this weird Selesnya deck that's not a typical Convoke Selesnya deck perhaps. So who knows, maybe we play a Locket. You really want your creatures to have Convoke and then your cards to put a lot of creatures into play to help those Convoke cards. I really want to minimize the cards like Righteous Blow, but I think for now it's fine. Alright, we can take a third Shieldmate or second Siege Worm, probably leaning second Siege Worm, just to make sure we have those finishers. There's quite a few 2-drops we might end up with. Siege Worm has a more unique effect. Alright, now I think we can take Guildgate over the third Siege Worm. Again, don't want to take too many interactive spells, so while Pax Favor can be okay, same with take cards, I think we just want to make sure that our mana works out. Prefer Selesnya Guildgate over Gateway Plaza, since we're unlikely to splash a third color anyway. Alright, pretty happy with the Generous Tray, perfect for the Selesnya deck. Creature that helps us convoke that cantrips. And now we can take a Coral Forgers, I guess. Hopefully we don't have to play it. Got a Lurcher, just in case. I guess we'll take an Okapi. Yeah, don't think we are playing either one of those. Alright, second pack. Frenzy, of course, a powerful card. Don't think we're gonna go out of our way to play that. Unicorn, Guildmage are both excellent. Centaur's decent. Another Generous Tray, so there's quite a few good Selesnya cards here. Probably leaning Guildmage, just to give that inevitability in the late game. And it's still a 2-drop we can play early. It's a multicolor card for the Rampaging Monument, although I guess the sequencing might be a little awkward, since if we play Guildmage on 2, of course it doesn't pump the Monument. But yeah, we can take a Guildmage and then hope to wheel Rosemane Centaur or Generous Tray here. How about another Guildmage? Seems fine. Can't really go wrong with more. Dissident is also a good 2-drop. We might even play Blade Instructor, who knows. Alright, I'm liking the Rock Charger here. Good 3-drop in any white deck. Nothing else really too exciting. Renewals sometimes playable, but unexciting. Ooh, hello there. Well, we're definitely getting rewarded for sticking to Selesnya. Conclave Cavalier is excellent, one of the better ones of that cycle. So Rosemane would also be excellent here, but gotta take the Cavalier. Alright, more Selesnya. So Selesnya definitely seems to be flowing in both directions. Also something to note is that Shieldmate plays pretty well with Rampaging Monument. Forgot to mention that. So Bounty Agent is not much better than Shieldmate. It might actually be worse in our deck, since Shieldmate pumps the Rampaging Monument. So we're not really looking at that. But Parhelion Patrol looks great. Sumala Woodshaper looks great. So let's get some of this garbage out of here. Alright, so this is kind of what we're working with. Let's take a look at our curve. So we do have some 4s already. Monuments may or may not end up in the deck, depending on how many multicolor cards we have. I mean, I wouldn't mind another 4, it's not like we're lacking 2s at the moment. So I think I'm okay with Patrol. The problem with Patrol is that it doesn't particularly pump much here. It plays well with Hawk, Generous Tray, Rock Charger, and that's about it. But we might end up with some 1/1 tokens, in which case Patrol's pretty good. And we don't have any Luminous Bonds to synergize with the Woodshaper, although it can grab our Dawn of Hope as well. So Woodshaper is actually pretty decent in our deck, but having those flying creatures both to block opposing flyers and to try and close out the game is also not bad, since our deck is pretty good at stalling out the ground. That's a mighty late Truefarm Captain. Gotta take the Rosemane, I think. Might of the Masses is actually also pretty good, but the way our deck is shaping up, we don't have many cards that generate tokens, but we are good at just playing out creatures early, helping us convoke Rosemane, plus it's another multicolor for a Rampaging Monument. But we would definitely still play a Might of the Masses if we got one. Alright, this is somewhat interesting. Hunted Witness, while not exciting, does provide us a 1-drop to help us convoke. So it can lead to those mystical turn 3 Rosemane Centaurs if we go 1-drop, 2-drop, and then Rosemane Centaur on turn 3. Right now we only have Healer's Hawk as a 1-drop, so Witness would help there. Shieldmate is also just a fine role player here. Another multicolor for Monument. 2-drop that can attack and block and help us convoke. Like, we seem to be doing fine on 2-drops already. Blade Instructor could also be decent in our deck, so that's also consideration, but we're likely to end up with another Generous Stray or two, so the 3-drops are going to get pretty crowded. Let's take a Witness, just in case. Like, we could take a Candlelight Vigil, not too excited about it. Pack's Favor, kind of the same. We're not sideboarding, so if we were playing sideboarded games, this pick would be a little bit more interesting, perhaps. We don't have any pump spells yet, so probably leaning Pack's Favor. Alright, so we wield both Rosemane and Generous Stray, both excellent. Probably gotta go with the Rosemane Centaur here, but would love another Generous Stray too. And now we can decide between Dissident and Blade Instructor. Let's take another look at our curve. Don't have to play Pack's Favor, not sure if we're gonna play Righteous Blow. Got mostly just creatures here. Do have a bit of a hole at 3, so Blade Instructor could fit in there. But right now we only have the 4 good 2-drops, so having another one is nice. I'm a pretty big fan of Dissident. Card is better than it looks. So I think I'm leaning Dissident here still. Make sure we have enough 2-drops to help us convoke Rosemanes early. And I guess now we can take a Sprouting Renewal over Take Heart. Alright, more Rosemanes, so, well, we definitely ended up in the right guild, all things considered. Got hooked up in this pack. Sometimes you can play Crushing Canopy, since we can be weak to flyers. Although Woodshaper looks pretty good in our deck, since it can grab Dawn of Hope and it's another multicolor for Monument. Yeah, I think I'm leaning Woodshaper. And if we even wield Might of the Masses, well, that's definitely an upgrade over Pack's Favor for the most part. Alright, well, let's move into pack 3, where we open our on-color rare Temple Garden. Can't really take it over Sunhome Stalwart, which is just excellent. Skyline Scout also great 2-drop. How about a Ladef Champion, great 3-drop to fill out our curve. We were kind of lacking 3-drops and this is a great one. Another multicolor card for Monument as well. A nice late Nightfall Predator, but we're not too upset since we can take a Healer's Hawk, which is nice, since that's a 1-drop that lets us convoke out those early Rosemane Centaurs. While still being relevant, we can mentor onto it with a number of our creatures. And speaking of mentor, can take another patrol here over Crushing Canopy. I guess Iron Shell Beetle also merits some consideration here. It is a decent card in any green deck, can help pump up some of our mentor creatures so they can keep mentoring, and the 1 extra power and toughness can make a difference. We already have a decent amount of 2, so it's not like we're really lacking them. And it's unclear how many of these 4-drops we can end up playing, since Rosemane often comes down at 4 mana. We already have a lot of good 4s, so I could actually see taking the Beetle here over the 3rd patrol. I don't think that's crazy. Well, we could take Patrol anyway. Don't think we need a 3rd Siege Worm, don't want Root. Could take a Blade Instructor. I think Elemental's pretty bad. A lot of Death Touch creatures out there. Doesn't have Trample, so can be chum blocked easily. There's also Haza Marshal. Not the biggest fan of the card. Don't have a ton of instant speed pump spells in this deck to back it up. And it's not like we're going that wide. So it might just be the Blade Instructor just to fill out the curve a bit better, since we don't have a ton of stuff to do on turn 3 otherwise. We're definitely going to end up with more playables than we have room in our deck. So we'll have to make some interesting deck building decisions in a second. But looking at the list right now, I don't think we have room for the 3rd patrol. So might as well take the Blade Instructor. Helps us pump all the 2-drops, can maybe get a Hawk up to a 3/3. Seems fine here. I guess we'll take it now. Don't think we want Recruits. Plenty of 2-drops already that are probably better in this deck. Alright. We probably could have ended up with like 5 or 6 Parhelion Patrols at this point. Take an uncommon for the Vaults. Alright, more Rosemanes. So yeah, looking at for Rosemane Center, I think I'm definitely playing this Hunted Witness just to speed up the Convoke. Skyline Scout seems fine. At the very least an upgrade over some of the other 2-drops. Don't want Worm, don't think we're gonna play Loxodon, so I'll take another Dissident, I guess. Don't think we're playing Gorgon. Alright, well, we've got a wealth of options here. It's kind of more like we're playing Constructed and we have to build our deck, as opposed to Limited, where we barely make 40 cards. Let's build this one. So I'm pretty high on those 1-drops, just to help us convoke the Rosemains earlier. Righteous Blow I can take or leave. Probably want to play Might of the Masses. Got way too many 2-drops than we have room for. At 3 mana, Canopy, Renewal and Locket are cuttable. At 4, I don't think we have room for all 3 patrols. Did not end up with any Luminous Bond, sadly, or deck is very removal light, which is not great, since if there's ever a board stall, we rely pretty heavily on cards like Dawn of Hope and Ladef Champion to get there. What are we going to do against Flyers? Well, step 1, try and race. If that doesn't work, we can try and block with our patrols. Otherwise, they could indeed be an issue. Do have a decent amount of Flyers ourselves with Double Hawk, Rock Charger, and all these patrols. Probably cutting 1. Probably cutting the Woodshaper 2, to be honest, since Rosemain is often a 4-drop, and otherwise we just have too many. And probably just cutting a Siege Worm 2 at the very least, since we have all these Rosemains as well. So what if we cut those? Still need to cut some of the 2s probably, so we're starting to narrow things down. So ideally we can play Rosemain on turn 3 after going 1-drop, 2-drop, and then Rosemain on 3. That's why I'm liking the 1-drops in particular here. Might of the Masses is kind of our only interactive spell. Dawn of Hope looks good with double Healer's Hawk, just a way to win the late game if there's a board stall. I like Scout as an evasive threat. Stalwart is the best 2 alongside Guildmage. Shieldmate is pretty good with Centaur, but it might be the weakest 2-drop, so for cutting any of them, probably cutting Shieldmate, even though it has a bit of synergy with the Monument. Monument looks pretty good. We've got 4, 5, 9, 10 multicolor cards. Is this a 16-land deck? It might be, since at the end of the day our curve kind of stops at 4, and we have a bunch of Convoke. Don't really need a lot of mana. So this might be a 16-land deck. Could even cut the Worm. Yeah, I could see that. Just drop the Worm, go to 16, probably cutting a Forest. And then we need to make 2 more cuts. Maybe we cut 1 Rosemain Centaur. I kind of like Blade Instructor just because it's a 3-drop that we don't have many of. And it can Mentron to all these different 2-drops, as well as on Patrol. And if we can Mentron to Patrol once, that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, maybe 1 Dissident is cuttable. We have a number of mana sinks between Dissident, Champion, Guildmage, and Dawn of Hope. So having too many of them is not always beneficial. Beetle is nice with all the Convoke cards, or rather the Mentor cards. We've got a Stalwart, a Blade Instructor, and Double Patrol, which benefit from Beetle. And it can also kind of act as a mini combat trick that messes up the opponent's blocking situation. I think Dawn of Hope is fine here. We have double Healer Shock to synergize with it and just gives us a bit of late game inevitability. Since our deck is good at adding stuff to the board, but might struggle to close out the game if there's a board stall, and then we kind of need to rely on cards like Dawn of Hope, Guildmage, and Ladef Champion to go over the top. Could see cutting the Dissidents. Like, we have a lot of 4/4 creatures in a sense already. So we're down to 41. Need to make 1 more cut. What is that cut gonna be? Maybe 1 Centaur is cuttable. I don't think that's crazy. 4 might be a bit much. And this would be our deck. 16 lands, since at the end of the day, all our expensive cards have Convoke. Don't really need a ton of lands to be able to operate. And flooding out is a concern, even though we have a number of mana sinks. So I think this will be our list. Taking a look at the mana base, we want to make sure we have plenty of white mana for those turn 1 Healer's Hawk and Hunted Witness. Can we go lower than 8 green? We do still need double green for Cavalier. We've got 4 green 2-drops. So I don't think we want to go lower than this, but I would like to increase the number of white mana just for those 1-drops. But I don't think we can go lower than this. Turn 3 Centaur, and hopefully we'll manage to pull it off a couple times. Well, if we draw Centaur, we'll be able to play it on turn 3, but otherwise we still have a nice curve here, so easy keep. We even have the Healer's Hawk plus Donophobe combo. Up against Izzet. Turn to Ordinary Goblin. So we'll play the Shieldmate here. Take 2. Can't really risk trading Shieldmate and then being unable to cast a turn 3 Centaur. Alright, no turn 3 Centaur. Let's attack. Alright, opponent does block. I'm fine with the trade. And then we can try and set up Blade Instructor plus Might of the Masses if they keep the Ornery Goblin back. Although we'll have to see whether or not we have enough creatures in play. Alright, there's a Rosemane Centaur. So if we were to attack after playing Shieldmate, we would have 3 creatures in play, so Giant Growth, up to 4 toughness, so it would be enough to survive the Goblin, but our opponent of course does have 4 mana up, so it seems like a bad idea to go for the Might of the Masses at this turn, since a counterspell or any combat trick would blow us out. So probably means we just want to attack with the Hawk and play Rosemane Centaur, tapping the Blade Instructor. We could also play Shieldmate into Rosemane Centaur. I guess it's probably better. Opponent does have a slight pause here, so they definitely have something. But I would rather have them counter the Rosemane than the Donophobe. Alright, Centaur resolves, so we've got a nice little board presence. Capture Sphere is what they had, fair enough. Still counts as a creature in play for Might of the Masses. And a Barging Sergeant attack for 7. Alright. We could Donophobe draw a card, but it's probably better to just play the Rock Charger and keep up Might of the Masses. And then Blade Instructor can mentor onto the Healer's Hawk. And then we're fine trading Shieldmate for Sergeant. I don't think I pull the trigger on this Might of the Masses unless our opponent makes us. Alright, that's a good one. We can still get past it with our Might of the Masses. That also means that if they block the Blade Instructor, it still survives after we play the Generous Stray here. And then we want to mentor on 2. Probably just a Healer's Hawk. And if they take it, they're just dead. Alright, so I think we saved the Blade Instructor. And then we still have Donophobe, which is kind of the perfect card as our last card to kind of use as a mana sink. or to draw cards with the Healer's Hawk. Opponent kept one of the 2 cards. Do we block the Goblin? I think we do. Don't want to fall into Sonic Assault range, and outside of Convoking, the Generous Trade doesn't do a whole lot for us. Crater Maker, sure. So can play the Dawn of Hope first, but I'm probably just going to play the Guild Mage anyway. How many blockers do we need to keep back? I mean, I expect them to Crater Maker the Blade Instructor, because otherwise they're dead. But I'm probably just going to go Dawn plus Guild Mage instead of Dawn draw card. Could of course Dawn draw card, hope to draw land, but we have to kind of guess whether that's going to be a forest or a plains. I guess it doesn't hurt to play Dawn of Hope first. Alright, they did have a Sonic Assault indeed. Are they still gonna kill the Instructor? They are. Alright, so we'll keep the Rock Charger back. We'll play it conservatively since we're not losing the late game with Dawn of Hope in play. Are we blocking if the Goblin attacks? Didn't think we are. We would go to 8. Sonic Assault's another 2 damage, put us to 6. So even if they drew another Sonic Assault or Dark Current, we wouldn't be in lethal range. If they have Inescapable Blaze, I guess we could end up dying, but we're also going to gain life with the Hawk. Presumably they tap down the Hawk with the Sonic Assault. Then we have a Dawn of Hope to block the Goblin next turn. So I think we take it. So we want to just move to combat. Sonic Assault Hawk. Resolves. I think we just attack with the Guild Mage. That way we have 2 potential blockers. Yeah, I could have also used Guild Mage to make a token, I suppose. That's probably maybe better, although getting it for 2 is also not irrelevant. Just gonna chum block the Goblin here. We don't gain 1 life, so we're still dead to an Inescapable Blaze, but if they had it, we would have been dead already. And then we should have lethal on the way back. Let's send. And between the Beetle and the Dawn of Hope, we have plenty of blockers on defense. Alright. So we got there in the end. Alright, no turn 3 Centaur, but still a fine hand. Got our Guild Gate, so casting Cavalier shouldn't be too difficult. Play Blade Instructor first, so on the off chance that they don't have a blocker, we get in a nice chunk of damage. Looking promising. They could of course have a 2 damage to attacking or blocking creature here. They don't. Is Golgari rather weak in draft? I mean, it's not gonna lead to the best decks on average, but you can definitely build a fine Golgari deck. So our opponent's missing a red mana, so we can attack for 7. What do we play afterwards? We could have decided to like play Generous Stray in the hopes of drawing a Might of the Masses, in case this happens. Going Stalwart plus Witness adds the most power to the board since we get to mentor to the Witness. So I guess that's probably fine. Could also go Stray, hope to draw land. If we miss, we still get to play a Witness. But I like getting to mentor here. Alright, there we go. So not the most eventful game. Alright, no 1-drop sadly, so no turn 3 Centaur, but fine hand otherwise. I feel like this is a line I'm gonna keep repeating. No turn 3 Centaur, but a fine keep. So probably leading with the generous trade just to make sure we hit our land. Kinda depends what our next draw is like. If we draw land, then we might play Rock Charger instead. Alright, no lands, but a lot of action. Alright, 3 mana. So if we don't draw lands, what's our play? Probably just Rosemane anyway. We did draw lands, so does that change anything? Playing Rosemane later, when Convoke is more efficient, could be interesting. Let's say this turn we play a 4-drop, then next turn we could attack with a Patrol and still use it for Convoke afterwards. So I think I like playing Patrol here, since the Rosemane just trades for a Cyclops anyway. Bartas and Bats. So that trades for Patrol. Alright, get to have a pretty efficient turn regardless. Hawk into Stalwart into Rosemane Centaur. Don't really wanna trade Patrol since we could Mantron to Hawk next turn. So which creature should we leave back as a blocker? Doesn't matter too much. I guess Patrol. Alright, so now we gotta try and leverage this early board presence. Poisoner's decent. Informant. Alright, so at the very least we can attack with Patrol and Hawk. We can wait for Rock Charger so the Rosemane can fly over the Poisoner. And then we have to decide if it's worth it to play Rock Charger or just add another Patrol to the board. Probably worth it to play Rock Charger. And then we might as well trample over with the Guildmage here, since we're not going to spend that mana anyway. And I'll keep the land in hand to play around a discard effect. Since even if we draw another land, I think it's more likely that we play Patrol than we make a token with the Guildmage. So if they have a Burglar Rat or Disinformation Campaign, we can just ditch the land. Alright, more Informants. So hopefully no answer for the Rock Charger, since then we can really deal a lot of damage. Alright, they put a bounce spell in their graveyard, so who knows, maybe they already have one. Hellodef Champion's a nice one too. So let's move to combat and find out. Alright, so Rock Charger, Healer's Hawk are attacking for sure. And we'll play another flyer. I guess we could play around this Disdainful Stroke. It's kind of curious that they kept up 2 mana here. I think it's worth it to still play the flyer. Alright, no stroke. Keep land in hand once again. 6 mana. Bartas and Bats. Well, with the trample from Guildmage, it doesn't really do all that much here. Pretty straightforward game from our perspective. Just played some creatures, including some flyers. And that's game. Hand looks fine. No turn 3 Centaur, but Donophobe if the game drags on. Probably still leading with the Shieldmate here. I guess it depends. If we're up against like a Dimir deck, then it could be worth it to make sure the Donophobe resolves. But in this case, probably better off playing the Shieldmate, even though it would be a multicolor creature for the Monument. You never know, this could end up dealing 2 or 4 damage. And we can play it next turn. Fire Urchin. Alright, this is my favorite part, the bluff attack. It's kind of free here, so I expect them to block. Alright, well, that's why you attack. Sometimes you get to get in some free damage. And maybe some auras in our future. As a Marshal would explain it too. And a second Fire Urchin. Trading Blade Instructor for Haza Marshal and getting a Mentor onto Shieldmate seems good enough to me. Getting Shieldmate up to a 3/3 is pretty relevant against these Fire Urchins. And we're still just trading 1 for 1. Could also play Patrol and then wait on attacking with Blade Instructor so we can Mentor onto Patrol instead. Could also be worth it. Yeah, actually, I don't hate that. Getting to Mentor onto Patrol up to 3 power means we get better Mentors in the future too. So it's kind of a more long-term plan. 3/3 Shieldmate would have been nice, but 3/4 Patrol might be even better. Bodyguard, alright. Here we want to attack with Blade Instructor and Perhelion Patrol and play the Monument. The way Mentor works, we can't make it so that the Shieldmate ends up as a 3/3, since Mentor checks on both when it goes on the stack and when it resolves. And the moment Mentor goes on the stack from the Patrol, there's no creature to Mentor onto. We can only attack with Patrol and Instructor here. Alright, Boros Challengers, so opponent looking just like Boros splashing green, maybe for Trostani, who knows. Would be pretty good here. Tribunal, the Patrol presumably. That was a good one. Alright. But that means I don't have the Tribunal for Donophobe. Alright, that's a nice one. So we can go Lodaf Champion plus Donophobe here. We could risk it and go Generstray, hope to draw land. Don't think that's worth it. And I think I'm happy staying back with the Rampaging Monuments. And the Shieldmate, I'm not gonna bluff attack this time. Just want to make sure we can survive this onslaught of Mentor triggers next turn. And then we can take over the late game with Champion and Donophobe. Alright, opponent looking at our monuments. Menacingly, Luminous Bonds. Alright, this could hurt. Attacks with everyone. They did have a slight pause last turn with 1 mana up. So it's definitely possible they have a trick here. But regardless, they have a 2/2 Marshal, so it still trades. If we were to double block Boros Challenger and they have a trick, we kind of get destroyed. What's the alternative? Just try and trade for Marshal with a Shieldmate and take the damage, or we can try and prevent the damage from Urchin, but if they have a trick, then we get doubly destroyed. So I think the options are double block Challenger, or just trade Shieldmate for Marshal and then take 7. Next turn, we either play Stray or get to make a token with Donophobe. What we really want to draw is something like a Rosemane Centaur. But even then, the Boros Challenger can attack past it. So I think we risk it, hope they don't have a trick, and double block the Challenger, since that's kind of the biggest issue going forward. And hope they don't have the trick. Alright, looks like they do. Yeah. take heart. So our read last turn when they had pause with 1 mana was correct. But that card was going to be kind of difficult to beat regardless, since even if we top deck Rosemane Centaur, now we would be unable to block the challenger profitably, so we kind of had to get that card out of their hand. But yeah, we'll need some fortunate draws from here, since Mentor kind of snowballs. But yeah, that Tribunal and the Luminous Bonds were pretty key here. And as we see, Dawn of Hope, while it would win us a late game, right now it doesn't do anything. So 11, 12 down to 1. Yeah, just don't think we have any outs at this point. Forest's not gonna cut it. Lifelinking Chum Blocker's not gonna do it. Let's have a look out of curiosity. Well, there's a Rosemane, which we could play, but it's not gonna be enough here. So we almost managed to stabilize, not quite. Jeez. Totally fine hand here. No turn 3 Centaur, but turn 2 Guildmage into turn 3 Generous Tray is looking good. Up against Izzets. Another Fire Urchin. Alright, land is good. Urchin attacks. In next turn we probably play Conclave Cavalier anyway, so I would like for them to tap out and not have counterspell mana up. We could double block. Can we get wrecked by a Sure Strike? I guess I don't hate double blocking. Don't really need the Conclave Guildmage here. And with so many 4-drops, I'm not too worried about playing the Rosemane Centaur early. Worst case scenario is probably Sure Strike. But even that, getting it out of their hand is not too bad. So, I'll call. Alright, Dazzling Light's a Guildmage, fair enough. Still just a 1-for-1. We did not tap them out, so they could still have Disdainful Stroke in hand. So, do we lead with the Rosemane Centaur? It's probably wise. Also, if they have like Capture Sphere, I would prefer them to use it on the Rosemane than on the Cavalier. And we'll see how they handle this. It's just a Muse Drake. Alright, so it's looking good here. Opponent doesn't have any good blocks, no good attacks. And we get to add more stuff to the board. Can go double 2-drop, we can go Cavalier. Cavalier lines up a little bit better here. Patrol doesn't really deal damage, but can Mentor onto the Generous Tray. Double 2-drop just gets stonewalled by the Muse Drake and Urchin, so let's get our Cavalier in play. On the off chance that they have counterspells in their deck, resolving it is pretty key too. And presumably if they had a Capture Sphere they would have played it. It's not a guarantee, they could be waiting for maybe a better target, but Rosemane's a pretty good target. Is it Lockets? Hopefully no Niv Mizzets incoming, since we don't have any good answers to Niv Mizzets. Alright, totally fine with any trades that happen here. And we get to add another Rosemane to the board. Just infinite 4/4 Vigilance creatures. Expecting a double block. I guess Guildmage for the trample is probably better than the Vigilance on Shieldmate. since our opponent is reaching low life totals here. So yeah. Not attacking with the Generous Ray lets us play 2-drop before we convoke. Watcher in the Mist. Fifth lands. Still have good attacks. Fine trading for Watcher in the Mists. And then we get to add a Parhelion Patrol to the board. I'll get in with the Generous Stray, why not? And next turn we can Mentor onto a Generous Stray, perhaps. Alright, opponent keeps up all their mana. Maybe see a Sonic Assault, who knows? Or a Capture Sphere. Alright, Sonic Assault it is. Sonic Assault not a scary card when used on defense like this. Much scarier when you're on the defensive. Could make a token with Guildmage. I think I would rather just play another flyer. Yeah, opponent is kind of forced to counter this, since otherwise they're just going to fall too far behind on board. But that's exactly what we wanted them to, since now we can resolve our Patrol instead of our Shieldmate, which is why we played it first. Alright, your move. They can still tap down Cavalier for 3 mana, leaves them 3 mana to deal with the rest of our board. If they don't have anything for 3 or less mana, then they would be dead. Well, we're an untapped land away from turn 3 Rosemane Centaur, so it might be happening. Turn 1 Witness, turn 2 Stalwart. Untapped land gives us turn 3 Rosemane. Although it might actually be correct to Mentor onto the Witness instead, we'll see. But easy keep. And this is why we play Hunted Witness, to help us convoke Rosemane early. And also just a 1/1 body we can Mentor onto with Stalwart and Patrol, so it's not the worst. Alright, there's the untapped land, so we might be able to live the dream. And Witness is unlikely to be removed, so it's gotta be a removal spell on the Stalwart here. Beetle means no attacks. Alright, could play the Shieldmate instead. Is it better? They're less likely to use removal spell on the Shieldmate, although getting the Stalwart in play to Mentor onto Witness could be nice. This one's kinda close. I'm leaning Shieldmate. Might also be able to sneak in an attack before we convoke. Alright, not gonna risk it now, since they might trade. So let's live the dream here. Turn 3 Rosemane Centaur. Now we win the game, right? That's how it works. Not quite, but it does help. Alright, opponent stuck on 2, which also works in our favor. Can't play double 2-drop since we're stuck on single white. So Ladev Champion seems like the play. And then I'm fine to trade Shieldmate, I think. Let's see if they have a Sure Strike to kill the Rosemane. Yeah. I doubt our opponent's playing Gruul, so they're probably missing a color. Opponent down to 14. This champion could be pretty big, also plays great with all the Vigilance creatures, since we can attack with the Vigilance creature and then still tap it down with champion to make it bigger. So things are looking up. And that's gonna prompt a concession, so turn 3 Centaur, we did it. And as a reward, we get to rank up. Nice. Alright, 5-1, let's see if we can make it all the way up to 7. Sure. Looks good. Turn 2 Shieldmate, turn 3 Guildmage, turn 4 hopefully Cavalier. Alright, let's get in there, play Rock Charger. Alright, don't want to get this Cavalier countered, so we might just go double 2-drop. Alright, I guess they're on empty here. Maybe missing a color. Well, this is going to be another quick one. Alright, I guess they were sitting on this Dameful Stroke, so by going double 2-drop last turn we also played around it a little bit. Could have gone for lethal here by playing the Beetle, but on the off chance that they have some interaction, I would rather play the Patrol, just to make sure. Probably should have given a Guildmage flying last turn, in case they had a Whisper Agent, so they couldn't ambush the Guildmage. You tend to play a little more loosely when your opponent is this far behind and don't necessarily think through every scenario. But yeah, playing around Whisper Agents by giving Guildmage flying there, for example, would make sense. Alright. I could have pumped a Dissident too, I guess. Again, like, I don't think there's a card in the set that saves the opponent from that position, so I'll just save my mental energy for the next game. Alright, hand looks fine. No turn 3 Centaur, but a lot of good 2-drops. Probably leading with the Shieldmate. Up against Dimir. Alright, so got some options. Resolving this Dawn of Hope against Dimir seems pretty important, so I think I do want to try and resolve it right now. Make sure we get it in play before any thought erasures or counterspells happen, since Dimir sometimes just can't beat Dawn of Hope in the late game. Could also Might of the Masses to get past the Snitch. Do we really care about the Snitch? Kind of. But they might have scarier threats in the future. So I think the play is going to be attack, then play Dawn of Hope, play Hunted Witness. And you never know. They might not block. And now we're fine drawing lands, and we're fine drawing spells. Phantasm's a good one too. Skyline Scouts. So probably just want to play the Generous Stray so we can keep hitting our land drops. Don't really feel the need to attack first here. Just play the Stray. Bartizan Bats could be an issue. Patrol would be a good blocker for it, but we're struggling to hit our land drop sadly. Which isn't great when we have a Dawn of Hope in play that is pretty mana hungry. I guess Shieldmate can attack. I think they're probably just going to block with the Snitch again. I'm fine if they trade for Phantasm, and then we get to play Blade Instructor. So next turn we can Mentor onto the Shieldmate perhaps. 5 mana. Multiple common Surveil cards they could play here between Watcher and a Deadly Visit. Instead it's a Dowser of Lights. Alright, so now we probably want to attack and then set up this Might of the Masses. So I think we just send Blade Instructor and Shieldmate, I'm fine if the Instructor dies, but whatever they block with the Dowser, I'm gonna Might of the Masses. And then we can decide whether or not we want to play the Hawk to block the Bartizan Bats or just add another 2-drop to the board. I guess getting the Hawk out there is kind of nice with the Dawn of Hope. Since that can also just draw us cards, so we might just take the damage from the Bats and then Dawn of Hope plus Hawk draws cards. Barrier of Bones. So the ground is getting pretty stalled here, but we've got a bit of evasion, so I'm not too concerned. Alright, looks like the Hawk's gonna die. Ooh, Connive. Well, it's kinda rough. Patrol still blocks it, so it's not the end of the world. Probably got a plate here. Do we have any attacks? We would be fine trading Blade Instructor for any of their creatures, including the Healer's Hawk, I think. Although we don't make use of the Mentor, so we might be better off waiting until we can Mentor onto the Parhelion Patrol, so we can again Mentor with a Patrol later. So I don't think I'm attacking this turn. Could send in a Shieldmate. I guess that's fine, since I'm okay trading for Phantasm, considering it might get bigger than a 3-3. So just Shieldmate attacking. Could get punished by like a Dazzling Lights here, but that's fine. That card's gonna be good against us anyway. Opponent takes it. Play Patrol. And hope they don't have any more Surveil. Alright, let's Surveil. So now the Blade Instructor dies to the Phantasm instead of trading. So that makes that attack a lot worse. If they find an answer for Patrol, we could also be in trouble. Instead, more Surveil. So Phantasm now 5-5, able to attack, but we've got plenty of blockers on the ground. So this game is shaping up to be pretty interesting. Opponent gets a lot of card selection with all the Surveil. Does attack with the Bats. We could trade, but then the Hawk becomes kind of an issue. And if we Mentor once onto the Patrol, then it can profitably block with the Bats. We are definitely getting pretty low here. The Snitch could burn us out. But we also have some life gain incoming. I think I'm okay suiciding Blade Instructor just to grow Patrol once. It's not a pretty play, but I think it's worth it. We might as well send in like a Generous Stray. That way if they block Generous Stray instead of Blade Instructor, we get a 2-3 out of the deal. And if they double block with Hawk or Snitch, we still kill Hawk, which is fine by me. So let's attack. Could also send the Shieldmate, since if they block Blade Instructor, then the Shieldmate at least gets in some damage, but also wanna keep some creatures back. So Instructor on Patrol, Patrol on Stray. And we'll see how they block. They could trade Hawk for Instructor, and then eat a Generous Stray, which is fine. Alright, that works too. And hope they don't have an answer lined up for the Patrol, although with all the Surveil, we shouldn't be too surprised if they do. Alright, nothing. So now we could attack with Patrol, Mentor onto Skyline Scout, give it flying, but then we are unable to play Patrol. So we could also play the second Patrol and then kind of do the same thing like we did last turn and wait to Mentor onto the Patrol before we attack, so we make sure we still have a 3-4 Patrol left over. I kind of like that idea. And then just no attacks for now. And if we start drawing lands from now, we've got quite a few mana sinks with the Dawn of Hope and the Guildmage. Ooh, Pass Wall. Pass Wall is a big deal. That suddenly means we're under quite a bit of pressure, and we need to close out the game ourselves. They can hit us for 8 unblockable here. Yeah, couldn't they kill us if they made the Bartizan Bats unblockable? Hit us and then also attacked with Hawk and Spybug? I'm pretty sure we would have died. because we would take 8. Spybug has Menace, Hawk we can block, but then we can't block the Spybug, so we would have been dead had they gone for it, but they probably missed it. That being said, I don't think we can really punish them here, since we're not presenting lethal ourselves. Yeah, Pass Wall was kind of the perfect card in this board state, and our Removal Light deck doesn't have an answer to it. So is there any way we can make an attack that presents anything resembling a lethal attack? I mean, we might as well, since we're dead anyway. Let them figure it out. And then give flying. So we still didn't really get to see Dawn of Hope in action here. Opponent falls to 7. Alright, they're going for it. Alright, GG's. Yeah, Dawn of Hope didn't do much this game. I mean, it kind of forced the opponent to use Connive Concoct on our Healer's Hawk, because it threatened to maybe gain life and draw cards. So it kind of had an effect on the game in a way, but yeah, we didn't get to activate it since it never got to that stage. If they didn't draw the unblockable guy, then Dawn of Hope could have ended up being a pretty key card for us to take over the late game. Imagine we were playing against a Dimir deck that relied on looping the 4-mana counterspell, and them relying on decking as a win condition. Dawn of Hope completely shuts down that strategy. Alright, well, we have a potential turn 3 Rosemane Centaur here, Hawk into 2-drop into Rosemane, plus we've got Dawn of Hope plus Healer Shock, so easy keep. Alright, is it? Turn 2 Mesmerist. Alright, we've got one more turn to draw the Centaur. But we've got just a nice curve out hand here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a Dawn of Hope to top it off. Electromancer in 2. Probably a radical idea. We actually drew the Rosemane, so we could go for the turn 3 Rosemane Centaur. So I think we go for it. Turn 3 Rosemane Centaur, that's the name of the game. And there we go. Alright, let's see how they handle the 4-4. Could also be Invert Invent. Yeah, if it was radical idea, presumably they would have cast it already. Right, maximize altitude, could have also been the card. And they're just gonna try and deal damage while they can. Fair enough. So this leads me to believe that they probably have some Sonic Assaults and other burn spells in their deck. We're probably just gonna play Parhelion Patrol here. And then I'm guessing the Hawk wants to attack to gain a bit of life. Centaur's Vigilance. We could keep the Guildmage back, so if they do have, let's say, a way to tap down the Centaur, we could still block with either a Guildmage or Patrol after they shrink one down with Mesmerist. We're gonna win the late game with Dawn of Hope, we just need to make sure we don't die. So let's attack. Alright, they were playing out their lands, so they might have something expensive in hand, or they have like an Invert Invent end of turn that they're gonna cast, which would make sense. We do get to mentor onto the Healer's Hawk here. Rosemane is still fine to attack, I think. And then we get to add Rock Charger and Hawk to the board, or we could play the Dawn of Hope, draw a card after we connect with the Hawk, and play another one. I think I like Rock Charger plus Hawk more here. Just make sure we add more stuff to the board. Not too concerned with drawing cards right now. And still keeping Guildmage back. Alright, that works. Well, that resolves pretty swiftly. So got a nice army of flyers here. And that'll do it. So, pretty straightforward game. Turn 3 Rosemane completely shut off our opponent's attacks, forcing them to maximize altitude, but then they were out of ways to get past our 4/4. Alright, so we stayed true to our name, got 2 turn 3 Rosemane Centaurs, and we won both of those games pretty handily. Opponents did get pretty unlucky in our run, had a few opponents mana screwed, but yeah, we don't get to know what kind of hands they kept, so we wouldn't be able to find out whether they got incredibly unlucky or made questionable decisions. But 7-2 with Selesnya doesn't happen every day. Let's crack some packs. Ooh, mythic wildcard, nice. Well, we're getting a nice little number of wildcards for the upcoming expansion, which is pretty important, so we get to build those decks on day 1. That's gonna do it for today. I want to thank everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for being part of the channel, and you can become a patron yourself today and decide the topic of future videos over at patreon.com/LegenVD.